I'm talking with you today about a subject that's often kept in the shadows, something intensely private, yet something that research increasingly shows is a significant component of overall health, vitality, and even intimacy for us older men. I'm talking about masturbation. Now, before anyone shifts uncomfortably, let's be clear. This isn't about judgment or locker room talk. This is about understanding our bodies, our needs, and our well-being as we navigate our 60s, 70s, and beyond. The fact is, while self-pleasure is common and can be a perfectly healthy part of life, certain practices, habits, and even long-held misconceptions can quietly undermine a man's circulation, his nerves, heart health, hormonal balance, and his general sense of well-being. Many of us carry habits from our younger years that just don't serve us well anymore, or we might be influenced by outdated ideas. So, the goal here is to bring some of these issues into the light, to discuss them frankly and maturely, so we can make informed choices that truly support our health and longevity. Common missteps, habits, and beliefs that can silently undermine our well-being. It turns out there are several common habits and beliefs surrounding self-pleasure that can, without us even realizing it, be causing harm, especially as our bodies change with age. One of the most frequent issues is rushing the experience and ignoring our body's new limits. Many older men might find themselves starting their day already a bit dehydrated or on an empty stomach, and then perhaps rush into masturbation without any real preparation for what the body is about to do. This kind of sudden demand on the cardiovascular system isn't always benign. It can potentially lead to feeling dizzy or weak, experiencing heart palpitations, or in more serious instances, even fainting, suffering sudden drops in blood pressure, or, in rare cases, it could contribute to cardiac events, including what's known as a warning stroke. The reality is, after age 60 or 70, our bodies just don't recover as quickly as they used to, and the way our blood pressure regulates itself becomes a bit more delicate. If we continue with the same intensity, speed, or pressure that we might have used in our younger years, we can inadvertently strain our heart and even our pelvic floor muscles. This could potentially cause a rapid heartbeat, muscle cramps, or contribute to urinary difficulties, discomfort in the groin, or even incontinence. Pushing the body too hard, too fast, and without adequate preparation can genuinely be dangerous, in some cases even leading to serious issues like heart attacks or those sudden scary drops in blood pressure. Beyond the physical risks, when we rush, the experience often becomes mechanical and disconnected from any real, deep pleasure. This can, over time, actually desensitize the body and lead to a feeling of emotional flatness afterward, which is surely not the goal. Then there's the complex issue of pornography and the unrealistic expectations it can foster. For some, starting the day by scrolling through explicit videos has become a habit, but some experts describe this as effectively reprogramming the brain. After we pass 60, our dopamine system, that's the brain's reward and motivation center, tends to become more sensitive and, frankly, less forgiving. Repeated exposure to very high-intensity erotic content, especially first thing in the morning, can overload the brain with a type of stimulation it didn't really evolve to handle on such a regular basis, potentially leading to desensitization. What this means in practical terms is that real, in-person intimacy can start to feel flat, dull, or disconnected because the brain has become trained to chase constant novelty, high speed, and artificial stimulation that real life rarely provides. This kind of habit can quietly chip away at confidence, reduce satisfaction in real relationships, and even damage the ability to truly bond with a partner. It essentially trains the brain to respond only to intense artificial imagery, which can sometimes lead to what's called arousal fatigue and a diminished interest in genuine human connection. Our posture during self-pleasure is another factor that most of us probably never give a second thought to, yet it can have an impact. Masturbating in a tensed, hunched over, or even a seated posture that compresses blood vessels and nerves can inadvertently cut off or reduce circulation to the pelvis. This kind of chronic pressure, especially on important structures like the pudendal nerve and the internal iliac arteries, can, over time, lead to unpleasant symptoms like tingling, reduced sensitivity, a delayed climax, numbness, and in some cases, even contribute to long-term sexual dysfunction. Essentially, this kind of posture can starve the sexual organs of the vital oxygen and blood they need to stay healthy and responsive. Perhaps one of the most damaging yet often unspoken mistakes is carrying the heavy cloak of guilt and shame. Feelings of shame, self-judgment, or regret after self-pleasure are often rooted in old religious beliefs, aspects of our upbringing, or sometimes even the loneliness that can accompany aging. This emotional spiral is described in some health literature as possibly the most invisible mistake of all. When these negative emotions arise, they can trigger a surge in cortisol, which is the body's main stress hormone. Persistently high cortisol levels, especially in the morning, are not good news for our health. They can suppress testosterone, raise blood pressure, weaken the immune system, and even interfere with memory, potentially leading to unwelcome issues like brain fog, chronic fatigue, or even contributing to erectile dysfunction. The sources I've reviewed strongly stress that this kind of inherited shame is something that must be consciously left behind if we want to reclaim full control over our physical and emotional well-being. Another area where misconceptions can lead us astray is believing in the semen retention myth. There's a fairly common belief out there that withholding ejaculation for extended periods can somehow boost energy levels or significantly increase testosterone. However, health professionals indicate this is largely a misconception rooted in outdated ideas. In fact, deliberately suppressing this natural bodily function for long stretches can sometimes lead to physical discomfort, a feeling of pelvic congestion, mood swings, and potentially even a higher risk of developing prostate issues down the line. The consensus appears to be that healthy, moderate ejaculation, whether through partnered sex or self-pleasure, is actually beneficial for things like hormone regulation, maintaining prostate health, reducing tension, and even promoting better sleep. Are you stuck in the rut of sameness when it comes to your grip and technique? It might seem like a minor detail, but relying on the exact same grip, the same amount of pressure, and the same motion every single time you masturbate can, over time, lead to a loss of sensitivity. It can also, surprisingly, interfere with your ability to fully enjoy intimacy with a partner. The body is incredibly adaptable, and it can become conditioned to respond only to that one very specific pattern of stimulation, making it harder to feel pleasure or reach climax in other situations or with different kinds of touch. And while we're on the topic of touch, many men make the mistake of forgetting the rest of the story by ignoring the whole body. If the focus during self-pleasure is solely and exclusively on the genitals, you might be missing out on the full range of physical and emotional sensations that are available from the myriad of other nerve endings and potential pleasure zones located elsewhere on your body. Think about areas like the inner thighs, the chest, the lower abdomen, the neck, or the perineum. These can all be surprisingly responsive. Engaging the whole body in the experience can create a much richer, fuller, and more satisfying session, and it's a great way to break out of stale, predictable routines. Then there's the practical matter of the friction of going without by avoiding lubrication. Natural changes that come with age, such as reduced skin moisture and sometimes increased skin sensitivity, can make physical touch feel different than it did when we were younger. Persistently avoiding the use of lubrication during masturbation can lead to unnecessary friction, skin irritation, and even microscopic skin damage over time, all of which can paradoxically reduce sensitivity in the long run. Using a good quality lubricant, on the other hand, can significantly enhance comfort, prevent that unwanted irritation, and actually improve sensation, making the experience more pleasurable. Similarly, many men might be missing out on support by ignoring helpful tools and enhancements. It's not uncommon for men to not even consider using tools that are specifically designed to support and enhance their sexual experience as their body changes with age. Ignoring these kinds of resources, perhaps due to pride, embarrassment, or just a lack of awareness, means potentially missing out on achieving deeper comfort, easier motion, and even stronger round, more pleasurable sensations. Viewing these tools not as a crutch, but as a form of smart self-care is about adapting wisely to your current needs and ensuring continued enjoyment. It's also important to consider the why behind the act. Is it possible you're masturbating out of loneliness or stress as a crutch instead of for connection? For older men, especially those who might be living alone or dealing with loss, masturbation can sometimes become a coping mechanism, a way to escape quietness, fill emotional gaps, or deal with feelings of stress, grief, or isolation. While there's absolutely nothing wrong with finding comfort and release in this way, if it's consistently used primarily to mask emotional wounds or avoid difficult feelings, it can inadvertently lead to a sense of emotional numbness. The act can become mechanical rather than meaningful, and ironically, might even deepen underlying feelings of loneliness if it's not addressing the root cause. It risks becoming more about avoidance than about genuine pleasure or a healthy connection with oneself. Finally, we need to address the shadow of erectile dysfunction, ED, and performance anxiety. Viewing common age-related shifts in erections primarily as signs of failure or inadequacy can turn what should be a healthy, pleasurable act into one driven by fear, self-judgment, and immense pressure. This kind of anxiety is a potent trigger for cortisol release, and as we've learned, cortisol is often described as an enemy of arousal. This can create a vicious cycle of frustration, anxiety, and disappointment. Ignoring ED or letting it dictate your emotional state and self-worth is incredibly harmful. Health experts emphasize that these changes are often simply a matter of biology, a natural part of aging for many, and not some kind of verdict on your masculinity or worth as a person. Unlocking the upsides, the surprising benefits of mindful self-pleasure after 60. Now, after discussing some of the potential pitfalls, it's absolutely crucial to balance the conversation by highlighting that masturbation, when approached mindfully and healthily, offers a wealth of significant benefits for older men. These are often the secrets that aren't talked about enough. One of the most liberating revelations for many older men is that the erection is no longer the whole story, and that's perfectly okay. So many of us grew up equating sexual success solely with performance and the hardness of an erection. However, health sources reveal a crucial insight: orgasm and erection are not the same thing. This means that a deep, satisfying release can still be experienced even without achieving a full or firm erection. When you can consciously release that pressure to perform in a certain way, it can open up a new world of pleasure, where touch becomes more intentional and time becomes an ally, not an enemy. This shift in perspective can transform intimacy, whether it's solo or with a partner, into something far more meaningful, measured by presence and connection rather than by the rigidity of an erection. Self-pleasure in our later years is also more than just physical. It can be powerful emotional, neurological, and psychological medicine. For many, it can serve as a kind of reset button, a healthy way to manage feelings of stress, loneliness, grief, or fear, offering a means of emotional regulation and a valuable sense of control over one's own body and feelings. After orgasm, the brain releases a cascade of powerful neurochemicals. Think oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, and prolactin, which play vital roles in regulating mood, improving sleep quality, easing anxiety, reducing pain perception, fostering a sense of calm, supporting immune function, and even boosting motivation and memory. These natural responses are potent tools for overall wellness, especially if you find yourself struggling with issues like insomnia, mild depression, or chronic stress. You've likely heard the phrase, "use it or lose it," and the rule is real, though perhaps often misunderstood in this context. When sexual function isn't regularly engaged, the body's intricate sexual system can, over time, begin to essentially shut down or become less efficient. Blood vessels in the pelvic area may narrow, nerve endings can become less responsive, and penile tissues may gradually lose their elasticity, a process sometimes referred to as disuse atrophy. Regular masturbation, approached healthily, acts as a form of important maintenance. It helps keep blood flowing to those delicate tissues, signaling to the body that this system still matters, thereby helping to preserve sensitivity and overall pelvic health. It aids in maintaining tissue elasticity and can prevent stagnation, discomfort, and potential future complications. There's also a nod to prostate health that comes with regular ejaculation. Research suggests that regular ejaculation, whether through masturbation or partnered intimacy, can be protective for prostate health. It helps to clear out old fluids from the prostate gland, stimulates healthy blood flow to the area, and can reduce feelings of discomfort or pressure, potentially lowering the risk of inflammation or infection. In fact, consistent ejaculation has been linked in some studies to a lower risk of developing prostate cancer and may also help in managing symptoms of benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, by preventing fluid buildup and promoting healthy gland function. And believe it or not, healthy sexual activity can be good for your ticker, contributing to improved cardiovascular health. Regular sexual activity, and this includes masturbation, acts somewhat like a gentle cardio workout. It can increase blood circulation throughout the body, may help in lowering blood pressure over time, and contributes to maintaining arterial elasticity. Some studies even suggest that sexually active seniors tend to have fewer heart-related complications and a lower overall incidence of cardiovascular issues. Let's not forget the brain. Mindful sexual activity can play a role in keeping the mind sharp through cognitive preservation and brain health. Sexual activity stimulates the production of various neurohormones that are important for maintaining healthy brain function and reducing stress. It's also thought to enhance neuroplasticity, which is the brain's amazing ability to form new neural connections and strengthen existing ones. This can lead to benefits like improved memory retention, sharper thinking, and potentially a lower risk of developing neurodegenerative conditions such as Alzheimer's disease later in life. We should also touch upon hormonal harmony, specifically testosterone talk. While it's true that testosterone levels naturally tend to decline somewhat with age, engaging in regular sexual activity can actually help to sustain its production. This is important because healthy testosterone levels are crucial for preserving muscle mass, maintaining bone density, and keeping energy levels up. It's worth noting again here that elevated cortisol from feelings of shame or chronic stress can unfortunately have the opposite effect and suppress testosterone production. Beyond the purely physical, masturbation can be viewed as an act of self, promoting self-care, dignity, and identity. In a world that sometimes seems to marginalize older adults, self-pleasure can be a profound act of self-care and self-respect. It's a way of affirming that one's body is still worthy of care, affection, and pleasure, regardless of age or relationship status. It actively pushes back against the pervasive myth that aging somehow means fading away into irrelevance, reminding older men that they are still very much capable of feeling fully, richly, and personally alive. It helps to maintain a crucial sense of agency and identity, which can be particularly important during times when relationships change or perhaps disappear from one's life. Ultimately, all of these benefits contribute to living longer and living stronger, supporting overall longevity and well-being. Neglecting sexual health, on the other hand, can subtly accelerate the aging process and negatively impact overall well-being. Conversely, maintaining regular healthy sexual activity, which certainly includes self-pleasure, is seen by many health experts as a crucial foundation for lasting health and longevity. It contributes to physical strength, mental clarity, emotional resilience, and a general sense of vitality, allowing men to live stronger longer and more connected. Finding the sweet spot, optimal timing, and a gentler, wiser approach. Understanding when and how to approach self-pleasure can make a significant difference in reaping the benefits while avoiding the pitfalls, especially as we age. When it comes to ideal hours, the research suggests that the best time for self-pleasure after 60 is generally in the late afternoon to early evening. More specifically, a window typically between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. is often recommended. There are several good reasons for this timing. By this part of the day, the body is usually fully awake, well hydrated, and nourished. The heart is typically in a steady rhythm, and blood circulation is generally stronger than it might be first thing in the morning. Furthermore, Those morning cortisol levels, which tend to spike early in the day, are usually tapering off by late afternoon, while testosterone may naturally begin to rise around this time. This confluence of physiological factors creates a more relaxed internal environment that's conducive to healthy arousal, a satisfying release, and a sense of mental calm afterward. The bigger picture, intimacy and sexual health as we mature gracefully. It's vital to understand that sexual health in older men isn't some kind of optional luxury. The sources I've looked at consistently frame it as a lifeline and an absolutely essential component of overall health, vitality, and longevity. A big part of embracing this is challenging ageist myths and misconceptions. So many men wrongly assume that sexual desire and function just naturally wither away and disappear with age, as if it's an inevitable fate. Health professionals emphasize that this common belief is often a cruel myth that can rob older men of the chance to maintain and enjoy a vibrant and important part of themselves. We also need to shift our thinking from wisdom over youthful spontaneity. After 60, relying solely on pure spontaneity for intimacy, whether solo or partnered, can be unrealistic and, as we've discussed, potentially even dangerous if the body isn't prepared. Intimacy in later life often requires and benefits from a different approach, one that embraces open communication, if with a partner, thoughtful planning, and adequate preparation. In this context, planning isn't a sign of weakness or a lack of passion. Rather, it's an expression of wisdom and care for oneself and one's partner. It's also critical to view erections as a window to heart health. Erectile dysfunction, or noticeable changes in erectile quality, is not just a bedroom issue. It can be a very sensitive indicator of blood flow throughout the entire body. These changes can sometimes signal underlying heart conditions or emerging issues with blood flow to the heart or brain well before other symptoms become apparent. Listening to this important warning sign and discussing it with your doctor can, quite literally, be life-saving. Think of intimacy in your later years as a form of powerful, emotional medicine. It is absolutely vital for maintaining feelings of closeness, human warmth, and the profound sense of feeling seen, understood, and alive. The absence of this kind of deep emotional connection, whether with a partner or with oneself, can significantly erode a man's mental and physical health over time. And importantly, remember that intimacy begins within. It extends beyond partnered sex. True intimacy, that deep connection and understanding, does not strictly require a partner. It really begins with the relationship you have with yourself. Masturbation, approached mindfully, allows older adults to maintain a healthy and ongoing relationship with their own desire, their own capacity for tenderness, and their own rich emotional world, regardless of their current relationship status. It can be a profound form of independence and an act of reclaiming closeness and pleasure on one's own terms. Ultimately, the overarching message here is about aging with dignity, strength, clarity, and profound self-care. It's an encouragement for all older men to honor their bodies, to embrace the changes that come with age with wisdom and understanding, and to redefine pleasure and intimacy in a way that actively supports healing, peace, and well-being, rather than perpetuating shame, stress, or discomfort.